Hi, Dana Phillips here, family nurse practitioner with All Things Nurse, your spot for nurse advice. So if you're into that topic, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. And so this topic that we're going to talk about now is things to consider if you're thinking about going back to school to be a nurse practitioner. So one thing I do believe is you should be a registered nurse for about 5 years before you decide to go back to grad school to become a nurse practitioner. And the reason for that is to hone your critical thinking skills. Critical thinking skills are not something that really can be taught through a book. Those are the things that are going to get really sharp when you're in the real life experience. So working as a registered nurse in whatever realm, whatever specialty, it doesn't matter, will give you the experience that you need to have that good foundation to be a very efficient nurse practitioner. Secondly, you want to ask yourself, why? Why do I want to go back to grad school to become a nurse practitioner? And for everyone, that's different. For me personally, I had been a nurse for 15 years and I just wanted something more. I felt like stagnant, I guess you could say. And I had worked in many different realms, many different specialties, different nursing jobs throughout the years. And it was just kind of like the time for me to go back to school. Whereas like if you asked me like 8 years ago, like, would you ever go back to grad school? I would have said, hell no, like that's absolutely ridiculous. No way, no thank you. But I ended up doing it anyway. And here I am about 6 months post-graduation. So anyway, it can be done. So what is your why? Is it more autonomy? Is it more prestige, more responsibility? With responsibility also comes liability. We also want to consider that. And is it more flexibility? As a nurse practitioner, you kind of have more banker's hours, if you will, like 9 to 5, versus most registered nurse positions are more of the inpatient, 12-hour shift type of setup. So being a nurse practitioner kind of gives you a little bit more flexibility with your schedule. You can work a few hours a day, part-time, whatever it is you want to do. Before going back to school, you want to consider like the time and stress that go into nursing school as well. For people that have already gone through undergrad to get your BSN or whatever it is you have, you can relate and know that it takes a lot of time dedicated to your studies and clinical and all that stuff, and also a lot of stress with tests and deadlines and clinicals and all that jazz. So it's the same thing with grad school. The only thing is, when a lot of people go back to grad school, they're like married with kids or, working a full-time job at the same time going back to school. So grad school typically will look a lot different than undergrad. So you got to kind of consider all those things. And also during grad school, you got to ask yourself, will I be working? Will I be working full-time? Will I be working part-time? Will I be working per diem? Do you have support? Do you have a spouse, a partner, someone that's you're financially tied to? Whatever your situation is, you got to make sure it works out for you financially. Personally, for me, I'm married. My husband works full-time. Through grad school, I also worked full-time. However, I had to kind of change what I was doing in order to focus my energy on grad school. So what that means is, when I started grad school, I was working bedside, 12-hour shifts in labor and delivery, very stressful. I realized that I needed more headspace. I needed more freedom in my brain so that I could fill it with school stuff. So what that meant for me was I switched jobs to outpatient setting, doing pre-op phone calls. And it sounds like super boring and mundane, but it was exactly what I needed at that time so that I could focus my time and energy on school and also pay my bills. Because unfortunately, we all have to pay our bills somehow. So definitely something to consider. Another thing that I did during NP school, so I was full-time, and then eventually I did go per diem in that pre-op job. But another thing that I did through NP school is I taught clinicals to undergrad. So you can check with your university that you're attending for your NP program and see if they need clinical instructors for their undergrad nursing program. And I found this to be such a great fit because, for multiple reasons. One, the money was great, paid my bills. Number two, the time was great because it let me work 2 days a week and make good money. And then I had the 3 days a week to put towards studying and my own clinicals. So there's a lot of different options that you can kind of toss around in regards to time, stress, management, all that jazz. We can talk more about that in a future video for sure. And lastly, you want to consider your desire level. How much do you want to go back to school? How much do you want to get that master's and become a nurse practitioner? So you just got to kind of do some soul searching on that. My suggestion is to do a pro and cons list. I like to do pro and cons list when I'm making big decisions in my life. So if you want to hear more topics on nurse advice, like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks.